Here we go. Stocks by the numbers. Welcome back. Another update on another big mover of a company that we've been tracking for a while that had a phenomenal double-digit percentage point pop today. SoundHound AI Incorporated, ticker symbol SOUN here on the NASDAQ. Voice AI company. We've spoken about this one multiple times. If you're new, obviously, again, Voice AI company. They announced back here that we have NVIDIA holding about 1.7 million shares, I believe, in SoundHound. So once that news came out, that was, they say, one of the main drivers behind the stock popping from the low mid twos up to about 10.5 here, and then has been channeling down since then. We spoke previously about this tightening, the symmetrical triangle that we've been in basically since that news came out all the way back in February. The stock has been tightening into this triangle right as we approach the apex here on the 9th. That's where I said, in my opinion, we should expect a break up as opposed to a break down, even though symmetrical triangle technically isn't a bullish or bearish indicator. Stock could go either way, right? But I said, in my opinion, seems more positive than negative. Stock really should break up instead of breaking down. And what did we look at? We looked at our buddy Jim Cramer coming out, labeling SoundHound as a quote-unquote meme stock. And I spoke about the potential reverse psychology and just the impeccable timing of him randomly putting SoundHound in his mouth right as we approach the tightening and the apex of the symmetrical triangle. And I said, in my opinion, we know what we know. We have to ignore the noise and we have to look beyond. And that's exactly what happened. And the stock went from 4.5, broke up here, 612, up almost a full point today, over 18% on the close. Just a phenomenal day for SoundHound. And in my opinion, I'm looking for this line right here. We're looking like, right about 674-ish. Like right around there. In my opinion, that's the next stop. And I'll show you why. This trend line here, we go back. And again, we came out, we popped, and then we started to drop, right? And we dropped down to this level. You can see this was like a support level here, about 2 3/4. And then we had a pop back up to about 4.5. And then we started to channel down again, big drop. And then we come right back up to this level. So I basically just drew a trend line across the tops here of those two pops that we had back in 22 and 23. And you can see July 21, 2022. And this looks like about, like the first week of February 8th, 23. And I drew that trend line to those tops and just kind of extended it outwards. And you can see, again, I spoke about this previously, but I deleted the cookies. So I ended up losing the TradingView account. So I lost all my trend lines or whatever. But anyway, bear with me. But long story short, you can see that on the news, we had the big pop up, and then this big green candle, look at that, stops right at that trend line. And then we come down and test that trend line. Bounce off of it, come down and close basically right at that trend line. Break below it, try to retest it, get back above it, gap down below the 20-day, right to the trend line. Hung out there for 4 or 5 days, rejected, bounced around, almost got back to it, started to pull back. You can see also that, incidentally, the top line of the symmetrical triangle met up with the top line resistance, which is exactly where this stock went to, and then pulled back and rejected and stayed tightening and channeling in that triangle. And now, boom, we're breaking up and out, which is why, again, I say, in my opinion, this technically should be the next stop, looking like about 6 3/4. And we have earnings, again, coming out in roughly 2 weeks. And depending on how much people are pumped about these earnings off of the recent Amelia acquisition and now revenue jumping up to above that 20 million milestone, we may actually break up above this trend line. And if we do, we are looking at all-time top-level resistance, which, as you see, we're looking at like 838, 843. So like I'm looking for like 840 potentially if we pop above this trend line. And you can see that off of the initial spike after the company got listed back in May of 22, connecting to the top of that 10 plus. Where'd it go? Yeah, it went to 10 1/4 even, and then started to pull back. So I basically connected from that high coming right out of the gate to the recent breakup above $10 and just extended that trend line down across. And you can see that if we continue up, we're looking like 840, 845 and change. So this can potentially happen before earnings, but also I think it may get up and just hang out at this trend line. And then if they beat the revenue estimate, it jumps up, right? Because the revenue, I know, as you see down here, the earnings reports here are technically red because they're missing on the EPS side lately, but they've been beating for the most part on the revenue side. Slight miss there, and then we have beats, and then we have beats. So what people are seeing, what I think analysts on Wall Street want to see. They want to see that, yes, this is, innovative software and it could be a game changer. And they entered into the restaurant, the fast food sector, right? They teamed up with, what was it, like White Castle, Krispy Kreme started using voice AI. So, what I think everyone's just kind of waiting for, they're waiting to see, first of all, does it work? Is it bothering people? Right? But also, more importantly, is it helping the actual business who's using the service? Is it helping them be more efficient, generate more revenue, generate more profits, increase, customer turnover? But at the end of the day, they want to see the revenue consistently increasing. That's why this jump up to 23 million. The company, if they beat this estimate, it's probably going to go up to this 8 and change mark, in my opinion. And that's going to start to solidify kind of the narrative that SoundHound is here to stay. SoundHound is a potential leader in the space. Anyone who wants voice AI is going to probably tap SoundHound. We just have a lot of positivity backing SOUN here, in my opinion. And that's why, as long as analysts and hedge fund managers and all the big boys on Wall Street, as long as they consistently hear and see revenue numbers increasing over time for the most part, the clientele list consistently increasing. They acquired Amelia. Now they're venturing into the healthcare sector, right? We're branching into all different types of industries, and we're just consistently being tapped along the way. And that's what Wall Street wants to see. In my opinion, anyway, that's the way I'm interpreting it. Because I know a lot of people, again, as we said, we laugh at them because they want to try to tell us that numbers aren't important. And then when we look at something like SoundHound and we have this breakout, and, we were talking about it for how long? While it was down here between like 2 and 3, and we were saying we liked it for the long term, it could be huge. Then the stock explodes, doesn't pull back to the 2 level. Now all of a sudden people want to cite the fundamentals. Oh, this stock isn't worth $2 billion. It's got to come back down a little bit. Now all of a sudden the numbers matter. Well, again, at this time we had big news. We had SoftBank get rid of their Big C position, and they took a 9% stake in SoundHound. We also had the news come out of Nvidia having a sizable, well, not really sizable, but again, 1.7 million shares. I mean, sizable for us, right? But, a decent little stake in SoundHound. And of course, we consistently mention that the CEO mentioned that years ago, they were approached multiple times in the past. This is why I said, in my opinion, they are going to probably bring something to the table that everyone needs and wants. So over time, the company should grow like an animal, or be on the flip side, while doing that same narrative, they're probably going to potentially get involved into a bidding war, and you may have, your Apples, your Microsofts, your Googles, Amazon, any of them, Netflix, any of them can step in and start to get into a bidding war. Oh, we'll give you $8 a share. I'll give you 10. I'll give you 12. And all of a sudden, before you know it, the stock is just chunking up and up and up. And there's immense value there. So, at $2 billion in change, especially in this market, the way we just pump everything, $2 billion is not an overextended market cap. You want to see an overextended market cap, you can pull up something like a Palantir that obviously just consistently keeps going up and up. And I just hope that no negative news comes out on something like that, because as we say, when stocks really chunk up like that, we recently saw it with something like Celsius. I know you guys appreciated that video, and I appreciate the support for that one as well. That one got a lot of views. And we saw that with Celsius, right? The numbers were consistently up and up. They kept beating. We pumped the freaking stock to the moon. Then what happens? All of a sudden, Pepsi, lowers their buy by 100 mil, and the revenue starts to pull back a little bit. All of a sudden the stock drops 60-70%, and it's hitting new 52-week lows. So that's why, again, I always say I'm very hesitant and cautious when stocks really get pumped to these overextended values. But going off on a tangent again, not to beat up those people who missed this one, but long story short, $2 billion in change is not a lot, especially for the potential, in my eyes, for what can be coming down the road for SoundHound. But let's look at some recent news here. $1 billion commercial drone market poised for continued growth driven by AI. Yep. Okay. We mentioned SoundHound. SoundHound. Launch new customization, transform how automotive brands, yep, we know this, entering into the vehicles. Flight times, navigation. Yeah, so basically you can do everything from your car now because you're talking to this voice AI assistant that's now built in. Okay. November 12th, earnings. Wants to voice enable the world. Fantastic. Partnership with automotive companies like Hyundai, Stellantis. Automotive is something that we love. SoundHound was in town at a conference. Automotives are rapidly pivoting. So this is what I mean. We may move into the completely teched out automotive space just inside of the next couple of years. Because we know that companies like Tesla, right? Elon Musk talks about, the sensors all around the car and they can tell when you're too close to something. The car can basically drive itself. But again, they don't want you to, fall asleep behind the wheel just in case something happens, right? You need to be alert. But I think that, you guys were, I don't know if you ever saw the movie I, Robot, but in that movie, you have the option, right? The cars are basically driving themselves, but you have the option, you push the button and you can have the steering wheel come out and you can take manual control, right? So in my opinion, I do feel that over the next couple of years, it's going to be fully autonomous. And you're going to have the autonomous vehicles like I know Google was doing and I know Tesla's doing. And you're also going to have it mixed with that technology, that voice AI assistant inside the vehicle as well. So anything you need, any music you want to listen to, any information you want to find out, and like this article talks about, like being in Detroit here for the Tigers and asking for tickets to an event like through the assistant, right? So that's what I mean. If we're just going to get in and we're going to say, oh yeah, take me to the stadium, and then you're going to be able to do like 5-6 different tasks while the vehicle is taking you to the state. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like interacting with the technology is almost going to be just as important as the actual vessel that harnesses the technology that gets you to the destination, right? So the autonomous vehicle is going to be one part, and then the actual voice AI tech is going to be the other part of the vehicle. So in my opinion, that's kind of where I see this leading to here over the next couple of years. Just my opinion. Said the automotive sector is undergoing significant disruption, with technology now taking center stage and the applications of AI rapidly expanding. That's what I'm talking about. Using technology from SoundHound, automotive companies will be able to offer ways for consumers to have deeper conversations with their vehicles, order food, be more productive, plan trips. Look at this. You can do all of this in the car, and soon you'll probably be able to do it without even having to watch the road and drive. We think voice is really the killer app. SoundHound said one way the company will help automakers is with monetization opportunities. Of course, you let companies know, hey, listen, you could do this with our software and make money. That's it, right? That's going to open the floodgates probably. Giving an example, a person in vehicle asking for directions to Comerica Park, where the Detroit Tigers play, and later asking for tickets to Detroit sporting events. There you go. Kind of like an all-in-one, right? Said if the person in the vehicle reserves tickets, it can be a monetization event for the automaker. We think voice unlocks all of that. Of course. Automakers can also offer subscriptions to connected services, which can include the voice features SoundHound offers. There you go. That'll be some potential consistent income coming in down the road. While SoundHound's focus this week is automotive, the company offers voice AI services across several sectors, including working with restaurants and enterprises. We are a voice and conversational AI company. We want to voice enable the world. Enable people to interact with products in the same natural way they communicate with each other. We can cover every part of the business. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? Right? Hit you with that Robert De Niro. I said that in my opinion, if this is efficient and if it works and all of the companies take to it and they see that implementing it can help their business, whether it's, again, retaining customers or increasing revenue, whatever, then we are going to see a massive growth explosion over time and more importantly, into other segments of business. And again, we're in restaurant business, we're in healthcare now, we're in automotives now. You watch. Said the acceleration from generative AI will continue to expand, with many companies being born today in the sector and companies embracing the technology. It feels like a category platform shift. He added there will be big winners in the space, with NVIDIA, who is an investor in SoundHound, the standout on the technology side of the AI sector. Quote, AI is data hungry. Emphasizing that SoundHound is focused on being part of the segment of companies actively applying AI technology and bringing it to market. Quote, that's the space people are increasingly leaning into. Said SoundHound is an AI developer that targets vertical markets and solves problems for them. Quote, this is where we will see a lot of growth. Fantastic. I know we recently looked at it, so there's not much news here. What is this? Bounced an early train, a successful integration of a generative AI voice assistant in vehicles made by a subsidiary of Stellantis across Europe. Look at this. SoundHound's been, integrated. Oh my goodness, integrated in vehicles across Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Portugal, Spain, and the Netherlands. Lancia customers will now be able to access generative AI-style responses in addition to other in-car assistant features. The company is the latest Stellantis brand to embrace SoundHound AI Voice Assistant. We are thrilled to bring SoundHound, even more drivers and passengers, to a new level of convenience and connectivity. This expansion marks another important step in our mission to transform in-car experiences with cutting-edge, truly conversational voice technology that drivers love and automakers trust. Yep, loss of 7 cents, 23 million, coming up soon. Stock up nearly 150% year to date. It's been popular ever since NVIDIA reported in a 13F filing 1.73 million share stake in SoundHound, but we were pumped about it and watching it months before that. Shout out to your boy who brought it to you on this channel. Okay. Look, and see what I mean? Like, as we break out, and we miss that lower price and the consolidation and the apex, right? Now you start to see the headlines. Oh, is it a buy? Is everyone's optimistic now at 5.5? You know, like, no, we knew about it at 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. But I'm telling you, that's why sometimes you have to be careful with the news and the headlines that they throw at you. Investors heavily search SoundHound. And Jim Cramer says it's a meme stock. And stock's up roughly 33% since he labeled it a meme stock. You have to laugh about it. But again, in my opinion, the big picture, the broader picture, the longer term potential of SoundHound, that's what people are really pumped about. And remember, if you dislike the video or say you think the stock should pull back, just keep in mind that that is basically exactly verbatim what you guys tell me when we look at overextended actual meme stocks like Rocket Lab, ASTS. You always tell me, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's 7 billion market cap's not a lot. You have no idea what's coming. Talk to me in a month. Okay. So all of that could be true for the companies that you guys are trending, but not for SoundHound. Come on. Like I said, we may get to a point where literally every device, appliance that you interact with may come back and be using SoundHound's voice AI software. I mean, think about that, right? So now imagine you fast forward a couple of years. Think about how big the stock could be, right? That's why I'm keeping an eye on it. Not just because, oh, this is in the space sector and, they're saying they're looking to launch something and some other guy said they like them. Like, no. I'm talking about real exponential growth potential on the horizon here. But switching over to stock charts here, you can see the RSI now basically at that 70 benchmark. We did have a slight pullback the last couple of times we did reach that level, so we may kind of pull back a little bit here, but MACD's been kind of flat, just kind of slowly rising over the last couple of months. We had that nice tightening, and now we're breaking up, trumpeting of our Bollinger Bands, well above both the 50 and 200-day moving average. But top Bollinger Band 581 with the 70 RSI. This is why we may quiet down over the next day or two potentially. But again, I'm looking for roughly 675, we'll call it, just to round it up. But here on the weekly, the longer term time frame, you can see RSI up here at 61, right? So we can keep going over the next couple of weeks and potentially get back to that 70 level before the stock starts to cool off. So we may see a pop-up back to 7 and change here, begin this, continue this momentum, and then maybe reject right there at that 675 level. That's the level I'm watching. Here on the longer term time frame, though, the MACD, you can see we crossed to the downside, stayed in that triangle for 6 months, and now as the stock breaks out of the apex and out of the triangle, you can see MACD crossed to the upside, signaling bullish momentum, and now we're going to be on the up and up, which is why I'm saying, in my opinion, roughly 674, 675 here, and then we'll see if we do get above that level, we might break and pop right back up to about 8 1/3, potentially 8 1/2. So that can potentially be on the short-term horizon. And of course, in my eyes, if you happen to step in on some calls and kind of ride the wave and the momentum coming into the stock, going into earnings, you probably, more times than not just with SoundHound, but in general, more times than not, we spoke about this in the past, if you take an earnings position and you kind of feed off of that buildup and that momentum, usually, more times than not, it's a better idea to, cut the bulk of the position, secure the profits going into earnings, so that if for some reason it doesn't go our way, we don't immediately give back the profits. So if anyone is in the short term going to play it like that, in my opinion, make sure to secure some profits if you do ride the momentum wave. That way, if it doesn't go your way, you're not too overextended and you still made a couple of bucks. But we can see here next resistance level on the weekly, 687. So 670, 687, that looks like a range right there, which is why I'm saying if we get above 674, we can see probably $7 in my opinion. Let's look at some of these previous levels. I'll let you go. 639, 644. Right, that's up there at 7 and change. What's this one? 688. So, yeah, in my opinion, 670 to like 690, it looks like, is probably going to be kind of the next little range that it pops up into and then kind of hangs out for a little bit. But we have to take it day by day, week by week. We know that. But big move here on SoundHound, and I'm just glad that, again, we saw the symmetrical triangle, and of course we stayed confident, we stayed bullish, and the stock happened to break up and not down. So anyone who has a position in SoundHound or bought it recently here in the 4s before it broke up, obviously congratulations, you just made a pretty penny. But over the longer term, again, we have to deal with this potential short-term volatility for that potential long-term growth. And that's why something like SoundHound, really, unless we hear some big bad news, then whether it's here at 6, if it pulls back to 3, in my opinion, I personally like it for the longer term. And the sky could be the limit. But obviously, big, nice green day today. People in the Discord were pumped. So, get excited in the comments section below, because we may continue this bullish momentum on SOUN over the next couple of days and maybe even couple of weeks going into earnings. But that's pretty much it. I'll end it there. So once again, this is Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop it down in the comments section. I'm usually very quick to reply. Thumbs up algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel. And of course, subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. That is how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand that markets are rocky, they're volatile, they are very uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.